You know, we, we could focus on the things that we take for granted or we don't recognize because we're unaware of it. We could choose to focus on, you know, moments that fulfill us, energies that fulfill us. The emotional joltage goes up and down, and the emotional joltage provokes the mind, and the mind receives and gets filled from the emotions. So the mind could have its temporary stasis of its mental activity. So to simplify it, because I did a video, it was kind of it was a little more raw. So now I'm gonna clean up this video. This video is seeing like how we could possibly go beyond the desire, perhaps, and obviously it's case by case. So how is it that we could go beyond the desire, where it could be like where there's an unhealthy approach to the desire, or there's an unhealthy relationship to the desire, because it's more easier to read the human thoughts and emotions than what people could even assume, aside from their surface level layer of thinking assumptive natures, right? Because it's all the surface level mind is just it's a whole different context realm. It's a whole different place of being where it's just that layer is of assumption is totally minute and diminished from the reality of the self. And there's also a unique rendition I want to speak about of the tree of life. I could break down the tree of life in such a unique way. We're in, Malkuth, the earth's in Malkuth, and the shadow of Malkuth, be it whatever, we're in that area, and the other areas have minute influences upon Malkuth, and the individual and the collective will receive those influences based on whatever's inhabiting those Sephiroth, right? So I'll do a different video on the tree of life because it'd be cool for me to like, you know, show the tree of life. And then after showing the tree of life on the diagram, I could explain it in such a way where I could explain it in such a way where that's where that's where like we're located. Other places are locating, and that whole place is we're moving through that one unit, and different things are shifting within that unit, and that could be parallel to like a different whole rendition of a tree of life. So that's a whole different video. But one casual tip on how to go beyond the desires is to kind of recognize the timeless things that fulfill us, right? So the timeless things that fulfill us could be just like, some type of like healthy connection, right? So the healthy connection that can't be manufactured, right? Like the things that can't be manufactured, right? Like the healthy connection, the healthy like the ability to have an epiphany, right? So the ability to have like, the things that so and obviously a creative exercise, you could come up with your own responses too, like what are some things that fulfill us that are not temporary, right? And then how we chase those temporary things, they could be artificially induced, right? And that whole pursuit of an artificial collective raw game, that artificial inducement, chasing temporary things, that's in the collective game, and we could have habits and patterns towards that, and then that makes our mental activity be what it is, right? Because majority of the humans, and it's not what you do, it's how you do it, right? But majority of people, they're caught up in the mental rat race of the desire crunch, right? And they could be emotionally aroused and jolted based on whether they fulfill those desires, whether they recognize it's artificially induced or like, fallenly induced. Fallenly induced meaning it's just like you're not acknowledging like the timeless things. There's things that the desire could be a context thing, right? Like we could have like a fulfilling appreciation to be accepting what fulfills us, right? So what is it? So what is something? So obviously that's a creative exercise. What is something that fulfills us, right? We could be fulfilled by just having recognizing the ability of we have a spiritual talent and accountability where we could teach ourselves to learn a new trick or learn a new talent or learn a new skill, right? So the gratitude of the path of how we get to learn something, that's something that's fulfilling us, right? Because I get the human path, right? People are caught up in like it's easy that people like, and it's funny because it's a known thing, but we have yet the human intelligence has yet to vocalize it and express it because that intelligent father isn't there, right? until whatever the fucking prophecies are saying, and that's a whole different thing, right? But to overcome desire is to appreciate the timeless spiritual natures and how spirit gives rise to the healthy elements and how we in our own subjective individual path we have everything that we need, being mindful of the dark game in the 3D matrix, right? Because even though we have everything that we need, that will be tested, that will be opposed, right, in the 3D matrix. So that's a quote unquote paradox. We have everything we need until the 3D shadow matrix will thwart it, right? So I've known about this since like 2012. It's just that we have to we have to we have to be fulfilled with the connection, and we take that connection for granted, right? We're taking the connection for granted, right? Because that's subsiding the desire, and we might not know it because it's unconscious, right? So the things that are subsiding the desire, the up and downs of the emotions, the up and downs of the demonic thoughts, what's subsiding that is the fulfilling, timeless spiritual nature of connection. So that's how you go beyond the desires, because it's very easy in 2026 to read the state of the human beings. They're caught up in the rat race of desires. So I'll come back. So this video is called How to Overcome Desires by Recognizing Timeless Spiritual Gifts and Natures that Fulfill Us. So what are things that fulfill us? Connection, honor, cooperation, respect, teamwork, team building, right? Quote unquote loyalty, quote unquote commitment, quote unquote dedication, quote unquote determination, right? Intelligence itself. So that's how you overcome desires. But I'm not saying desires are bad because it's not what you do, it's how you do it, right? And that's a whole different contemplation right there. I'm just saying it could be warped, right? Nothing's necessarily bad unless it's, warped, unless it's evil multiplied evil multiplied evil multiplied evil. It's an advanced math, right? And the underground is the number one teacher. Majority of you global leaders, period, you guys are just straight pussies. You have the best life ever.